of his games,
Yeah.
you win best of threes something closer to like 75 or 80% of the time. I don't know. I'm bad at math. Somebody can double check that, but it's huge. So up here, top left corner of the map on Antigua Shipyard, currently leading the series 1-0. This is Empire's Violet. Down here, trailing. He's going to need to win this and the next one if he's going to come out of this. Playing as the Red Protoss, this is Slayer's Alicia.
And with any kind of two-base timing that, as a pros player, you decide to do, it's always a risk, of course. I mean, you're basically banking on your opponent maybe getting an overload cap, maybe something that could push it in your favor, and you especially don't want your Zerg player to hit his timings perfectly. So I wonder if Alicia's going to bank on trying to do a timing again, kind of rolling the dice, or whether he'll try a more straight-up style here, whether he'll try a faster third base, or something along those lines. But the really difficult thing, and why that percentage is in favor of Protoss over Zerg, is that if you think about how on any map that you defend with force fields and then you sit back behind your force field, you defend. On Antigua Shipyard, if you're trying to do that with your three bases, no matter where you're sitting on the natural or third base, you land those force fields down, you're defending behind the force field. And the Zerg player says, well, that's fine, you lock yourself in your third base, I'm just going to go to the natural. And the same can be said for the natural too. So that's one of the big reasons why it's a lot more difficult to play this map. But Protoss players, man, they're pretty damn good, especially if they do get that third base up in time and hold off. That's when it really plays to their strengths.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of the time you see games come down to whether or not the Protoss player is able to establish his third base at a time that was not governed by his opponent.
Yeah.
Like if the Protoss player is able to establish his third base when he wants to, generally he's ahead.
Violet, though, clean
So
play.
sick. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. I thought that it was just going to barely cruise over across one of the drones. We were going to see that first blood.
Violet
Didn't happen.
could potentially win the entire tournament. He's actually a tournament winner, so extremely excited to see how his play does advance just past this game too. Whether he'll continue to win this or whether he'll drop down. I'm sure he'll provide exciting games nonetheless. But with that pylon block, a little bit annoying again. One thing to point is that it takes a little bit harder to get the creep here as well to the third base, which could push a Void Ray play or something like that. But
yeah, because you just had, I mean, that's a lot of space between your second and your third. And really, and that comes into play almost all the time, right? Whether or not you're going to be able to hold both your third and your natural, because your army is just in such an awkward spot constantly.
But Forge first this time compared to Nexus. A little bit more defensive, especially if you're going to try to wall off at the front. You kind of need to get the Forge early. And this map can be a pain to actually to wall correctly. You kind of you have to have the buildings precisely in the correct positions, and Ling run-bys are very frustrating as well here if they do manage to get in. But so far, so standard. Because of the Forge down pretty early, it could be +1. It could be a Void Ray as well, though. That's pretty expensive to go +1 and Void Ray, though.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Or you're actually just out of gas.
Yeah. So he may skip up on the sentry or so, but decisions, once again, I mean, it's always with this, because Zerg players pretty much open the game saying, hey man, I'm taking 3 hatcheries. What are you going to do about it? You know, that's pretty much Zerg versus Protoss all over. So once again, Slayer's Alicia is in the driving seat depending on what he wants to do here.
Yeah, I think, man, that last game too, when he was pushing across the center, before the roaches were about finished, or maybe it was the second push when we saw him like get supply blocked. That hurt him quite a bit because he lost one of his pylons.
Be so careful when you use pylons aggressively like that. Though I didn't really notice too much chrono boost on the Nexus, on the Nexus natural either. So it isn't going to really chrono boost out, well, anything for now, which obviously leaves that he can get the Void Ray down. I mean the Stargate down. He does have a bit of chrono boost on the natural, but he started +1 and the Stargate, so he's not going to get a sentry at all. He can't afford it, as we just said. But Void Ray +1 can be pretty strong, actually, especially if you try multi-prong harassment, where you drop a pylon underneath the main base, use the Void Ray for vision, and drop in with the Zealots. That's actually pretty strong here.
Yeah, and any, like, Zealots just deal so much damage, and generally you're not going to see the Zerg player going for any amount of armor anyway, so with that +1, right, 2 swipes on a Zergling, feels good, man.
Yeah, and that's always, up in the air for Zerg players to choose. Do I get Carapace early on to get my, stop my Lings just dying immediately, or do I get +1 attack? There's always the debate between both. I mean, +1 Carapace just feels like the all-round better upgrade. But you know, because +1 attack you actually have to dedicate to roaches, whereas +1 carapace can work actually for broodlords and later on and so on.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to tech switch your upgrades over if you start with roaches, which is why some players do like to get carapace. But then again, you're basically saying, well, my roaches can't really do anything, but they survive a bit better because any kind of push, roaches have to get right in there as well. So carapace works that way too, where they don't take a lot of damage with zealots too.
Yeah, so that you don't have them dying before they're able to be effective.
And especially against immortal pushes too, because they have to get right in there to kill the immortals. But at the same time, if you don't have carapace,
yeah. So Violet's able to get a lot of information here. Knows that that Void Ray is on the way.
Is that a pylon? I think it is. Just
yeah.
So there's that kind of play, but I think that pylon's gonna go down.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he only has the Void Ray. He's got 2 zealots following up to try to defend this as well, but it's finished off just before he's able to warp in any more units.
He has a pylon in the center of the map too, but it's
started.
Yeah, it's nothing huge, not like a big play here because he is backing up a robotics facility, so he kind of has an escape plan here if this doesn't work. But he's gonna try and get some damage done. I mean, he's got +1 attack on these zealots, so.
Ooh, and now, so Violet was running out here. He was trying to finish out that pylon in the center of the map. Not able to do it in time before he was able to warp in a lot of those zealots. And now we see these roaches now following up, forcing Alicia into once again an all-out retreat. And now he only has this 1 Void Ray out here. Actually, that's possibly a second one up in the main as well. See him cleaning up a few of those roaches. Not able to do much up here. There's 3 queens. So Violet's doing a great job defending this.
Confidence is written all over this game right now with 15 drones just finishing up really in the production tab. So he's actually like so happy with how this game's going. He just pushed this back with absolutely no hassle whatsoever. Now the second, well, plan B has to kind of kick in for Alicia, and things aren't really working for Alicia in this best of 3 series.
Now he's got 2 of these Void Rays out here as well, which means that map control is pretty much his for a good chunk of time. But as long as Violet can just play defensively, though.
Yeah.
Like you saw, I mean, he just made a ton of drones. He just needs to be able to collect resources for long enough that push that advantage. He's also got Spore Crawlers out, so he's going to be in a nice spot.
He's got 4 extra ones as well, just in case, because he knows that the only way he's really going to drop this game if these 3 Void Rays catch him off guard.
Yeah.
Because of course they'll knock queens down pretty damn fast, and hatcheries as well. But with Spore Crawlers around, they aren't really going to do anything. So a very safe play. Almost, you could say, securing his lead in this game. But the Immortal follow-up push is basically what's going to happen here, as 3 extra gateways have come down, and this is kind of plan B, where he's going to go use these Void Rays with his army, try to deal damage, but right now the economy, the income is so sick for Violet that he's about to start the biggest army we're ever going to see.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much been at full production for however. He's only got about 62 drones, so I guess he has some room to squeeze in more if he really wanted to. But he's just going to wait for that Spire, banking up all those gas and minerals so that he can just have enough. Make one push, make Alicia think that he's going to be able to like clean up a silly ground push, and then the Mutalists are going to come in and just kill the Void Rays.
Yeah. That's especially with like an immortal push as well. You don't have blink. You have very little sentries actually too. So and stalkers too. So you have like a guardian shield, but can get picked off pretty fast. And the Mutalists currently banked up 700 gas. By the time the Spire finishes, you could have almost 9 Mutalists come out at once.
Well, let's see, maybe he'll even cross over into the 10 mark. He's got almost 20 seconds left.
Oh wow, yeah. And he's got a lot of overlords that he's built, even though he loses a couple there. He sees that it's coming anyway. He knows that this follow-up plan B is coming, but he's about to pick off probably the key point of that attack. That's that pylon.
Oh, man. Once again, man, Violet's just really staying on top of any of those forward pylons.
He's opting to build roaches, though.
Huh.
I think he knows that it's some form of 2-base push, which is always going to have a lot of gateways behind it, and to use Mutalisks is very dangerous because they don't have upgrades yet, and his opponent does. So he's like, all right, well, I could use Mutalisk, but it's probably just better if I just crush this with Roach and Ling.
I could also just have more stuff than you, period, because he's, I mean, even his army count is going to be, well, currently smaller, but as soon as the round of units gets in, should be.
His plan definitely was Mutalisk, but
now pushing out is going to be a little bit rough out here. We see those force fields being laid down. Now the Immortals are dealing quite a bit of damage. This actually might put Violet in a strange spot if those Immortals are able to deal the rest of their damage. Those Queens are going to be completely undefended now.
And now Void Rays are going to do a lot of damage. They're actually going to turn the tide of the battle here. And that was actually a really good successful attack there from Alicia.
Yeah, Alicia did a great job there, knowing exactly when to turn. Oh man, some money transfuses, just trying to distract those Void Rays for a little bit longer. defend the push while he tries to make some roaches behind this. But Violet's in a rough spot for defending this. We look up here, there's no more queens to defend from any of those air units. He actually has nothing to defend from the air units aside from the spore crawlers, and those are going to drop instantaneously by the Immortals.
He's got a lot of money, but he hasn't got any queens, so he can't spend his money because he has no lava due to lava injects missing. And Violet was caught in 2 worlds. He was like, alright, I'm going to go meal this. I've got 1,000 gas banked up. And then he's like, oh no, I'm going to build roaches and links to try to hold this off and just, like you said, have more stuff. But being caught in 2 worlds here has really been his downfall. And Alicia is looking pretty damn good, but does have to deal with this counterattack.
Yeah, and actually, he doesn't... yeah, I mean, really all that he's going to be able to warp in back here is like a single sentry followed up by Zealots while he waits for gas, because he doesn't have a whole lot of gas, so this is turning into a base trade. Now, when... when you have force fields and I have no way to do anything about your force fields, you're probably going to win a base trade 100% of the time.
I wonder if the mutas are going to be enough, though, because he's kind of pushing up now to the natural with a pretty damn strong army.
Yeah.
A muta's going to pop off as soon as they come out, and 5 cannons being made as well to fortify that ramp, and with the gas, he doesn't actually have that much gas left, but with the cannon finishing up, he may be able to hold on, but...
Well, he just needs to stop them for long enough for his gas to climb above that 100 mark again.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's why those Zealots are there, just to absorb a little bit of damage.
Yeah, and at the same time, he's lost his natural too. He's going to lose his main shortly. And Violet, caught in a weird place, had a couple of hazy decisions, and at this level of StarCraft 2, man, can change the world.
Yeah. And we can, I mean, this game was turned completely upside down.
Yeah.
By that decision to push out.
Yeah. I mean, go and meal this and dedicate into it, because not only do you build a Spire, it's that you take 6 gases too, and you start to bank up rather than get upgrades rather than anything else. So
you see, even now he still has extra gas, right?
Yeah.
Minutes later.
Yeah. And he's gonna try. Well, I don't think he can try too much, man. These Void Rays, Immortals.
Huh. Nah, yeah, I don't know.
Alicia's fortified his ramp with all those cannons. He's probably got enough sentries now to keep on force fielding. There's like no way that Violet can break up there, so the only way he's going to win this game is if he crushes the army, and then just try to play his normal game from there.
Completely crushes the army. Now Violet has, what, 0 drones? 5 drones.
Yeah, he has 1 base on the right hand side there with those drones, but... Oh, man.
Now, he does not want to be... Oh, wow. So that's a lot of free pylons, actually. No, he doesn't want to fight that. If he keeps on killing the pylons...
He's still got to deal with this army eventually.
Yeah.
Though. Alicia's just going to hunt down the hatchery no matter what. And eventually Violet will have to defend the hatchery, because that's his only structure left. And his Mulus will have to come back. I'd be very surprised if Alicia went home. Very, very surprised, because that could actually change the game. He kind of has to just go find the last base.
Well, Alicia can just, like, if he just suicides into the hatchery, right? Like, he can't stop his army in time.
But Violet's going to try and take an engagement here, but...
Oh, and here we go. Does he actually have... Okay, so he doesn't have Blink, so he's not going to be able to go for anything sneaky here. Oh, wow. Picking off a couple of those sentries, although a lot left, still able to land a few of those force fields. And now the Immortals are doing lots of damage. Violet tapping out, bringing this series to 1-1.
Yeah, very, very surprising twist in that game, really. I mean, that's obviously not what Violet wanted and wanted that to go down, but it was a little bit... Like I said, the Mutalist switch, when your opponent still has a good amount of gateways powering, is a very difficult decision to call. So I think that Violet's decision-making was his downfall there, rather than anything else, like his mechanics, his gameplay, his scouting, everything was actually tip-top. But that one little maneuver. But that draws up the series.
Yeah. So exciting Game 3 coming up next. Now the winner of this goes on to play against Grubby.
Wow. That's actually really tough for both of these guys, I think. Grubby managing to beat Oz, which was a great victory for him, but his Protestant Zerg has always been very good. It's very unpredictable. It could be aggressive, it could be passive, and you know that could be very difficult for Violet to deal with, but at the same time it could be difficult for Alicia, especially because Grubby's just beat Oz, big confidence boost in his PvP. So you know this is like the first game of many tough ones to come for these two guys.
Yeah, this whole, I mean, like you've said, right, this tournament is so stacked. There's actually no easy matchups for you ever. Because if, I mean, you mess up once and your opponent can completely exploit you.
That's exactly right. I'm interested to see what the next map's going to be between these two guys. Tells a lot about how this is going to end. You know, compared to a Tower of Malta game over to a Cloud Kingdom game, they play completely different.
What would each player be hoping for going into Game 3?
Probably like a Cloud Kingdom, a very balance
Each of
between
them would be
both.
planning.
Each of them can be like, all right, this is fine. I know what I'm going to do here. I'm trying to think of other maps in the map pool that they might like. Probably that for this matchup would be the best, but that could have easily been vetoed out by one of them as well. So I don't know the vetoes. We'll see. I mean, Daybreak's a pretty good map for this matchup. Antigua Shipyard can swing either way.
Oh,
Metropolis is pretty interesting choice. This is actually, I'm surprised that Violet didn't veto this actually. This is
there can be some super tricky toss all-ins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just the way that the third base is structured. That's why a lot of Zerg players would veto this. But it's interesting he didn't do it unless he has a problem on a different map. But Metropolis, because of the way the third base is set up with the rocks blocking it, and the creep distance is a lot longer than even Antigua Shipyard as we talked about. So a lot of all-ins constructed around that third base from Protoss.
Yeah, and if you can get your your opponent to commit to already spending a lot of time connecting that creep, and then you just like kill his third when he thinks that he has it connected. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Just waiting for these guys to invite us in. There was a mistake on that map, so we're just waiting on this.
Oh, maybe it was the old version.
I bet you guys love us talking to you with Alicia and Violet staring at you.
Mm-hmm. Well, who wouldn't want to look deep into their eyes?
You could. Maybe you could find out what their strategies are going to be for the next map if you look deep enough.
Secretly, we didn't know it, but actually in the reflection of Alicia's glasses is like what the mini-map's going to look like at the end of the game.
You can see his monitor if you look super careful. And this is actually...
Because we take... MLG takes player headshots like at your computer.
Yeah. That's actually the live feed, by the way, guys. The players sitting at their desks.
They're both really still. We have them playing in a white room.
Yeah. New York City got boring at night.
Well, I mean, people on Reddit called it out on the skyline being fake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. It does look a little bit fake sometimes.
It's
but
unreal.
It is unreal when you hear guys trust us.